The first humans to stand on Mars will see a blue sunset, not red, blue. Because of the way Martian dust scatters light, the sky near the sun turns a deep electric blue at dusk. Everything humans expected about Mars turned backwards. And that might be the least surprising thing about what's actually being built there. I'm going to walk you through the real engineering plan. Not the announcement version. The version with specific numbers, specific problems, and specific solutions that are already operational right now. Because the thing most people don't understand, we've already cracked the hardest problem. The one that made Mars impossible for every generation before ours. I'll show you exactly what I mean. Why Mars is not a choice. People always ask, why Mars? Why not fix Earth first? And here's what I think about that. We should fix Earth. We're trying, but those two things are not in competition. Here's the thing almost nobody says out loud. Scientists have found organic molecules in Martian soil, chemical building blocks of life, already there. We don't know exactly what that means yet, but it means Mars and life are not strangers to each other. That's not why we're going, but it matters. We're going because all of human history, every civilization, every discovery, every person who ever lived, exists right now on a single hard drive with no backup. One large asteroid, and there are thousands of them on Earth-crossing orbits. One pandemic that outpaces medicine, one failure we didn't model, and it's over. Not damaged, over. Mars is the backup. And we're inside the narrow window in history where we can actually build it. That window doesn't stay open forever. The problem that blocked everyone before us. So what was the hardest problem? Not life support, not psychology, not radiation, economics. Getting 1 kilogram of cargo to Mars, historically, would have cost somewhere between $100,000 and several $100,000. At that price, you can send researchers, equipment, flags. You cannot build a city. You'd need to reduce that number by 2 or 3 orders of magnitude. Every rocket before Starship was effectively disposable. Spend $400 million building it, light it on fire, throw it in the ocean. That's like buying a commercial 747, flying it once, and scrapping it on landing. Nobody would run an airline that way. And nobody can run a Mars program that way. Starship is designed to launch, land, refuel, and fly again, potentially the same day. Both the booster and the ship, fully reusable. 33 Raptor engines together produce more total thrust than the Saturn V that sent humans to the moon. It carries 100 to 150 people and 100 tons of cargo per trip. Current cost to put 1 kilogram into orbit, $2,000 to $10,000. SpaceX's target with full reusability, under $100 per kilogram. That's the moment Mars stops being a dream. Pause 1S. That's what I meant. The economics, that's the hardest problem and it's solved. Everything else is engineering. The fleet, and one question, here's something most people don't understand about Mars missions. You can't go whenever you want. Earth and Mars only align in the right launch position every 26 months. Outside that window, too much fuel, not viable. One shot every 26 months. So the plan isn't one ship, it's a fleet. Dozens of Starships per window. The first ships carry robots and equipment. They build the power grid, the landing pads, the pressurized habitat before any humans arrive. Construction crew before the residents. Now, I want you to hold one question in your head while I show you the rest of this. Would you go knowing it's 7 months in a spacecraft? Knowing you might not come back? Knowing Earth would be a pale blue dot outside the window? Would you actually go? Hold that. I'll come back to it. To surviving Mars. Mars is genuinely hostile. I won't pretend otherwise. Minus 60 Celsius average. Atmosphere 95% carbon dioxide. Pressure less than 1% of Earth's. Radiation significantly higher than here without a magnetic field to block it. First settlers live underground or in pressurized domes. But here's where it gets interesting. And most people miss this completely. A Martian day is 24 hours and 37 minutes. Pause 1S, almost exactly an Earth day. Your body clock barely needs to adjust. Of all the things you'd expect to be alien, time almost isn't. The first settlers won't even suffer much jet lag. And Mars gravity is 38% of Earth's. That means you can jump nearly 2.5 times higher from a standing position. Children born on Mars will be taller, longer-limbed, with hearts calibrated for a lighter world. If they visit Earth, they'll feel like they're walking in concrete. Mars won't just be a different place. It will eventually produce a different kind of human. Now the resources. Mars has enough water ice buried in its poles and subsurface to cover the entire planet in 35 meters of water if it melted. 35 meters. Mine it, melt it, filter it. Drinking water. Split it into hydrogen and oxygen rocket fuel. Made on Mars for Mars. The atmosphere, 95% CO2, can be converted to breathable oxygen directly. NASA already demonstrated this on Perseverance right now, on the surface of Mars with a device called MOXIE. We've produced breathable oxygen on another planet already. The resources are there. The question was always getting there cheaply enough to use them. Building the city. Phase 1, survive. Phase 2, build. Phase 3, and this is the part worth thinking about carefully, something genuinely new. A self-sustaining Martian city, one that doesn't collapse if Earth stops sending supplies, needs roughly 1 million people. Scaled to thousands of ships per launch window, hundreds of thousands of people arriving every 26 months, a generation born on Mars, and within a few decades, you're there. But think about what that city actually looks like. Gravity at 38% of Earth means buildings can be built 3 times taller for the same structural load. Martian architecture will look like nothing on Earth, not because designers choose it, but because the physics demands it. Towers, spires, open vaulted spaces that would collapse under their own weight on Earth. Think about that question I asked you. Would you go? Most of the people who do won't be astronauts. They'll be engineers, teachers, doctors, farmers, people who chose the frontier over everything familiar. People who will build things that have no name yet because nothing like them has ever existed. And then there's governance. The communication delay between Earth and Mars is 3 to 22 minutes one way. Round trip, up to 44 minutes. You cannot govern a civilization with a 44-minute response time. Every law, every emergency, every decision made locally. Mars will have its own laws, its own economy, its own identity. It won't be a colony. It won't be an extension of any nation. It will be the first truly independent human civilization beyond Earth. And that will create tension with Earth the way every frontier has always created tension with the world it left behind. Over centuries, terraforming, warming the atmosphere slowly, thickening it, seeding life. A 1,000-year project. But it starts with the first structure on the ground. In 1492, Columbus left Spain with 3 ships and 90 men. He didn't know what was on the other side. He didn't know if the ships would hold. He went anyway, because the potential of what was there was worth the cost of being wrong. In the late 2020s, the first crewed starships leave Earth. Not explorers, settlers. People who plan to stay. By the early 2030s, permanent base. In situ manufacturing begins. By the 2040s, economically viable. Mars no longer needs Earth's resupply to survive. By 2050, a city, in the earliest real sense of the word. I know people say my timelines always slip. They're not wrong. But here's the thing that doesn't slip. The physics, the math. And Starship already flies. Columbus's timeline slipped too. He thought he'd reached Asia. He still opened a new world. I've said publicly that I'm willing to die on Mars. People read that as drama. It's not. It's a statement about what I actually believe. 99.9% of all species that have ever lived on Earth are extinct. Civilizations rise and collapse. The planet itself will eventually become uninhabitable. In geologic time. That's not speculation, it's physics. Earth's history is one long record of things that didn't survive. We are right now, in this generation, the first species in the entire history of this planet, with the actual capability to change that equation. Not just for humans, for everything we bring with us. Every seed, every microbe, every organism we carry in a payload bay. Mars isn't just humanity's second home. It's life's second chance. And that question, would you go? I think more people would say yes than would admit it. Not because it's safe or easy or even survivable for everyone who tries, because it means something. The first Martian city will have terrible politicians and bad reality TV. It'll have teenagers who are certain the adults are catastrophically wrong about everything. Coffee shops where the coffee is grown locally and tastes slightly different in lower gravity, it will be entirely human. And it will exist because some generation, at some point, decided the frontier was worth the cost of opening it. Next, I'm going to break down the Raptor engine, why it's the most efficient rocket engine ever built by humans, and why that one piece of engineering is the reason everything I just showed you is actually possible. Subscribe. I'll see you at the launch.